So, good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Viranchi Panda. I'm an assistant professor at IIT Guwahati. So, I belong to Department of Mechanical Engineering, and also I'm now a part of Center for Intelligent Cyber Physical System. So, today I'm going to talk about some of the advancement of the robotic system that is being used for 3D printing process. So, I'm not an expert in robotic, but what I do, I try to use the robots for 3D printing applications, especially oriented towards more building and construction industry. So today in my talk, I'm going to demonstrate that this robots, which is previously mostly used for automobile manufacturing industry, how they can be tuned for this building and construction industry, and what is the need and how we can see the future of robots in building and construction domain. So with this brief introduction about my topic, so I'd like to move into the next slide. So this is all about we call digital construction. So why it is digital constructions? Because in this process, we try to bring more automated system. And if you see why is the need of this technology? Because our traditional construction process, it is mostly belonging to this kind of work where you can see a schematic or picture where people are trying to do a casting operation. So it is very similar to the casting that we do in mechanical engineering. So we have a formwork mold, and as you can see in the picture that some laborers, they're trying to fill the mold with a concrete kind of material. So it's a composite, and once they fill the mold with this kind of composite, after some days, it is just going to harden, and they are going to take out the mold or the formwork, and ultimately the complete structures will be there. So this is the usual process that how we build our houses, homes, structures, buildings, etc. But what is the problem if you see in this picture is a lack of automation, and which is really a important reason for the productivity issue in construction industry. If I see the productivity graph compared to manufacturing and other industry, the productivity in the construction is quite stable over the years. And literature reveals that there are so many reasons for this lack of productivity in the construction, and one of them could be the lack of automation. So, being a researcher, what I can do for improving the production in the construction. So, if you see the machinery that we are currently using in construction industry, though there is a lot of instruments, machines, advanced high-tech technology, though we are using in our construction, still we feel there is a need of further advancing the technology to improve the productivity. So in that regard, there are so many advancements that has been done. I think in this program, there are many talks to discuss about industry 1.0, then we went to 2.0, 3.0, and now today we are trying to connect all the physical system with the internet-based data system, which comes into industry 4.0. So can we bring something with related to this industry 4.0 for our building and construction industry that is going to further improve the productivity of the process? So in this regard, if you see the construction industry, the $10 trillion industry, but the number of robots or automated system that we use, it's a very less percentage, which falls below less than 0.2 percentage. And this construction industry, it contributes to 6% of the global GDP. So in this regard, I feel that there is a need to further bring more advanced system, more automated system, or you can say we have to further digitalize our construction industry to improve the productivity. So the question here is that, can we bring robots to do some of our jobs which was previously done by laborers? Can it be replaceable? If yes, what are the strategy? So if you see our construction workers, they really work very hard to get our structures to be done on the right place. But do you think is it right way to completely create the building, or can we bring some robots to further assist their job and so that we can improve the productivity of the system? So in this regard, there are a few reasons why I would love to print concrete structures with help of robotic system, or you may call more automated system that are going to make the process more smoother. And what is the advantage that you can see being employing these robots in the construction industry is not only the time or the productivity, but the most important point, I feel so, that it's the gain in productivity time. Because as you know, in 3D printing, the most important point is from design to creation of the complete part. So which can be definitely reduced by including the robots in the construction sites. How it is possible? Because normally when we go for constructions, we have to go with the complete detailed design, creation of the mold, pouring concrete. Then after some days, we have to remove the entire mold and just to do the inspections. So all the process, it takes a lot of time for creating structures for building and construction application. But if you think of a technology that is more automated, such as like robotic 3D printing, where I can involve the robots directly from design to print the entire structure in one go. So in this way, I feel by bringing the robots in the construction, the biggest gain will be the productivity time. So which is going to be reduced a lot by utilizing this robotic system into our construction work. The second benefit, which is very appealing to me, is all about design freedom. What does it mean? Because if you see our traditional structures, they are very simple, straight. There is no beauty or no aesthetic in the structures that we create today. So can we bring more design complex structures into our built environment? And for that, do you think our conventional way of casting concrete is suitable? Definitely the answer is no, because we can't create such a very complex shape with casting, because it needs creation of a very complex mold which need lot of time, and also it incurs lot of cost to create such kind of complex mold. So in this regard, if you think of employing again a robotic system to create this complex structure, the first advantage you will get in terms of design freedom. So what does it mean by design freedom? That you can create complex structures without the need of mold. So the material is designed in such a way that it is going to be simply extrude from the nozzle, and you can deposit more layers to have such complex structure. And believe me, for creation of such structures, it is really very difficult, or I will say it is impossible to create such structures using traditional formwork or molding process. So that is the advantage we can definitely going to get if we employ an automated robotic system in our construction process. The next advantage, it's all about sustainability, which relates to the nature. So can we bring more sustainability? Because if you think about Industry 4.0 or other Industry 1, 2, 3, not only they created a lot of job opportunity for many sectors, but also there are some drawbacks or there are some problems that are associated with this transition. So nowadays you can see a lot of automobile companies, they are having this kind of robotic system to create mass production of the cars. So this is in one way, if you see, it is really benefit to the society that we have a more automated system that can create series of cars in a very short time. But what is the negative side of the story? That it is going to lead to pollution, more traffic jam, more circularity issue. So these are the other side of the Industry 4.0 that we need to tackle as soon as possible. And in this regard, I am going to talk about few slides at the end of my talk, that why there is a need for collaboration of Industry 4.0 and Humanity 4.0. Because nowadays, the technology, the process has been so advanced that we completely forgot about caring the nature. So sustainability is very important for me, because I feel in 3D printing, we can achieve some sort of sustainability, not only from the material point of view, but also by designing the accurate structure where we need less material. So when I say about less material consumption, let me cite this example that you can see on my screen, that is a 3D printed concrete bridge at Netherlands. The most interesting point about this bridge is that if you see the cross section of the bridge, it is not entirely solid. Rather, the topology has been optimized for bearing this kind of load. So if you think about such kind of structures and creating by 3D printing, it's really easy, because we have the control over the position of the material where there is a need of material. So that is most important, and 3D printing can do the job very easily. But now think about the same structure. If you want to create by conventional casting technology, you need to create the negative of the structure as a mold. And then only by pouring concrete, you can get the similar structure as shown in the picture. So again, creating a mold and further pouring concrete, getting out of that, it's a very time consuming task. But if you think about 3D printing, it's really very easy because you need to program the robot in such a way that it can deposit the material where there is a need of material. So these 2-3 reasons are very appealing to me, and for that reason I am pursuing the 3D printing of concrete structure using advanced robotic system. So how the process works? It's a very simple process like your FDM or fused deposition modeling process. We extrude the material layer by layer. It means you can see a picture on my screen that the materials are being deposited layer by layer. It is just extruding from the nozzle, and if you see the picture in a complete view, there are different 3D printing system. So this is all about an extrusion based 3D printing system, but apart from that, there are other varieties of process that can also responsible for improving the productivity. So if you see, this is a smart dynamic casting. So what does it mean? That if you want to create complex towers or pillars, so now this robotic system has a very smart opening that can be controlled to get a nice safe structure, which is very difficult to create by formwork. So what does it mean? That now adoption of robot makes the construction not only cheaper, but also it can create more aesthetic structures having more functionality. So that is the beauty of involving robot in our construction work. There are so many other processes in construction where robots are being used nowadays. So this is an example of mesh molding. Normally our labor or our workers, they do a lot of hard work to put the revers in the concrete. But now the same thing can be done easily with the help of an advanced robotic program where the robot, as you can see, it is trying to create a complete mesh by automating the mesh molding process. So this technology was developed by ETH Zurich. So they have created a complete sequence of process where the robot can automatically pick the revers and assemble it as per the program you have done. Not only this 2 or 3 technology, there are so many technology in the construction where robots are being employed. So there are robot bring laying machine, robotic plastering, robotic painting, everything. You can see that in complete built environment, some of the activities are going to be automated by the use of this advanced robotic system. So now let us talk about my topic of interest, which is 3D printing using robotic system. So before I explain the complete process and what are the challenges we have in this process, I just want to play this video. This is an 80 years back video, and which denotes that 3D printing was there already 8 years back, and what we have today, it's a complete similar system. But I will argue on the point that what is the difference we have today compared to this 80 years back technology. So please have a look on the video and then we'll debate.
Originally in 1941, he applied to the U.S. Patent Office for registering the patent for the ball building machine. The person most of his time was devoted to the invention of the industry. As the author of the first building 3D printer, he created a prototype.
Yeah, so as you have seen in this video, that the machine that is depositing a material which is not concrete layer by layer. Okay, so this is a technology that exists 80 years back, and they are creating such kind of dome shape structure by adding layer by layer. Okay, so after 80 years, we have a technology which can deposit the material layer by layer, as you can see here. So sorry, I paused it. Okay, so yeah, so as you can see, after 80 years of time, so we have an advanced system that can do the same job. But if I compare the past video with the present scenario, I feel it's like a jump up industry 01 to industry 4. Like previously, the machine that you have seen in the video, it's a simple machine. It has restriction in certain dimensions. But now we have more sophisticated automated machines that has higher degree of freedoms. So you can print the structure in overhanging position, you can deposit the material in different orientation, because nowadays we have more advanced machine. So in 80 years, we improved our machine system so that we can deposit or we can play the material in more degree of freedoms. And this process, it was actually inspired by Professor Kushnabis, who put up a nice concept that if some astronauts, they are planning to go to Mars, so we need to create habitat for them. So this was the origin of the concept, where he thought of employing this robotic automated system which is going to print habitat for the astronaut in the Mars. So the same concept later it was trying to adopt it in Earth for creating buildings and structure. So as you can see that in this complete scenario, the robotic system is going to deposit the layers one by one to create the complete entire unit of the home. So this is the technology which was patented by the Professor Kostounabis. The technology's name is contour crafting, but later the technology was changed to 3D printing, which is a very simple, well-known technology to us. So as you can see, this technology was existed long back, but when I started my PhD back 2015, lot of companies, university, they started creating lot of putting lot of intention into this technology to further develop it for different processes, the new material development, so that combinedly the system as well as your material, the productivity can be thought to improve by this entire supply chain. So now let us think about the process mechanism. So the process starts with the 3D model as similar to other 3D printing process. You have a complete CAD model, you do the slicing layer by layer. Of course, unlike other 3D printing process, here the layer width and the layer height is more. We always maintain the layer height of 20 millimeter, or sometimes depending upon the application, we go the layer height up to 30 millimeter, and this machine, it deposits the material layer by layer. So this is an gantry system which is slightly different from robot. So as you can see, it is a 4-axis machine. The 3 axis is X, Y, Z, and the 4th axis is the nozzle that is being rotated during the printing of the entire structure. So this is how we deposit the fresh concrete layer by layer. And the unique point about this extrusion based process is that the deposited layers are not immediately get hardened. Rather, they are still remain fresh until you deposit 20 layers. So it means this material is having some unique property that instead, though they are remaining in fresh condition, you can still deposit more layers without the entire structure getting collapsed. So this is the beauty of the structure. If you compare with your polymer printing or any other 3D printing process, where after deposition of the material, it get instantly hardened. The same thing is not happening in the process. Rather, the material remains fresh for a few layers, and then slowly it get hardens, and thereby you can able to deposit more layer for large scale printing process. Yes, so this is the machine I used. So you can see it's a 4-axis gantry printer. On the left hand side, you have a controller that's going to control all the axis movement. On the right hand side, you can see a pump that is being used to deposit the material layer by layer. Okay, so this is a completely gantry system. Similarly, we have a robotic system. It's a KUKA robot. So we mount this robot over a pedestal so that our build volume can be more, because we had a plan to print a 3-meter tall structure which was beyond the capacity of the build volume of the machine. So therefore, we put the entire robotic system on a pedestal so that now our build volume is more. We can print large scale structures. So the process remains same. Like you create the program, and the program transfers to the controller, and the controller controls the motion of the axis that we are going to follow for printing of concrete structures. So yeah, something like we use this RoboMaster default package to deposit the material. So I think, yeah, there is a video here. So you can simulate the entire printing process. So the nozzle we have developed here, it's our own patented process. So what you can see, this nozzle has a mixing chamber. So whatever material you are adding here, it is going to be mixed. So we are carrying a payload around 60 kilo, and therefore it is depositing the material, which is very unique. And though it remains fresh, as I mentioned, it still is able to hold more layers without any collapse. So you can see that this robot is depositing layers virtually. But if you mark one system, this nozzle is having some kind of special travel. So this is going to smoothen the layers after you deposit. And in the program, we have to make sure this remains always tangent to the curve so that it won't disturb the structure after you print. So this was the challenge we have to we faced during programming of this entire structure. So this is how you can see that very smoothly it is, though it's virtually, but the same thing is going to happen in the experiment itself, that it's very smoothly going to rotate in every corner and without disturbing the material. So yeah, this is the entire process. So before I come into some problems of this robotic system, I have few slides regarding the material, because normally the programming starts from the material point of view. There are different variety of material that are available for this robotic concrete printing. So I will highlight some key features of the material that is leading to some discussion regarding selection of this robot as well as tool path planning. So yeah, those who are new to this concrete material, for them I will say it's a composite. You mix cement, sand, water, mix and make a composite we call concrete, and then you have to deposit layer by layer. So once you are depositing, the very common phenomena that the material should remain stable after you deposit. So this is an example where material is not able to hold its shape. It means after deposition, it is going to simply spread away. So this is not a suitable material for our printing process. So alternatively, we can slightly improve the viscosity so that the material will remain in its own position, but it is not going to happen the same way, because if you are simply increasing the viscosity, you may end up with a situation where discontinuity of the layers may occur. So neither we want the material to be very fluid nor the material to be very stiff. We want an intermediate property so that this material can be pumped out. At the same time, we can extrude it smoothly without any discontinuity in the layer. So this is the mechanism of our entire material development. So you can see that for printing this concrete or any kind of this slurry material, like you can consider clay, ceramic, we need the material to have some initial yield stress. Okay, so if you are going to print a material below this yield stress, you can't print it because the material is not going to have proper shape as you can see in this picture. Okay, so you must ensure that whatever material you are developing, it must meet a minimum yield stress. Then secondly, as I mentioned, that slowly the material yield stress have to be changed with time. Otherwise, the same initial yield stress is not sufficient to hold the layers of loads of other layers. So with time, this x-axis is time. So with time, the yield stress have to be improved so that you can put more layers. So how it can be done? It can be done by adding some chemicals which can improve the change of yield stress with respect to time. So if you see that if you are printing with a material having a very poor yield stress, or the yield stress is not changing with time, you are going to end such kind of consequence where the entire structure is going to be collapsed because the bottom layer yield stress is not changing. So it's in the same value as it is of original. So we have to make sure when we are printing such kind of material, the yield stress have to be changed. Then only we can deposit more layers without any failure. So this is one possible way to print. But for some applications, if you simply go beyond this kind of initial yield stress to make sure that you have a high yield stress and you can deposit more layers, that is also a very wrong concept, because if you are printing with a very stiff material, then ultimately you are going to end up in this zone which causes poor bonding strength. So what is about bonding? So normally, as you see that in 3D printing, we have a concept of interlayer bond strength. So if you are printing a very high yield stress material, so ultimately you are going to end up with a very poor bond strength. It means if you are going to test it, this layer bonding will be very poor. So there are so many physical mechanical phenomena happens in this process, and before you plan your tool path, you have to make sure that all of these conditions are satisfied so that ultimately you can print the large scale structures without any failure. Because if you are not considering any of these facts, ultimately it is going to end up with poor bond properties, or you may end up with complete failure of the structure. So how it can be done? So just think of an example like the material of toothpaste. Okay, so the paste that we use every day, so it is having a texturotropic property. Okay, so though I'm going a slide away from the core topic of my presentation, but I will try to finish this concept as soon as possible. So this is an example of the paste. So once you extrude the paste, it is very easy to extrude because this material behaves shear thinning process. Means you apply some shear force and this material, it is going to lose the viscosity. So the viscosity is less, so you can extrude the material very easily. But once you stop applying any shear force on the material, so this material is going to be stable as according to the nozzle shape. So it means that we need to develop similar material for our application, where applying the shear force by squeezing the tube. Similarly, we have to also apply the shear force during pumping. The material is going to lose the viscosity, so that my extrusion process will be very smooth. I will not find any discontinuity. And as soon as the material deposited on the print bed, or if you can relating the situation with this extrusion process, as soon as the paste lies over the brush, there is no force acting on it. So it is going to remain in the same shape of the orifice. So similarly, we have to develop this material. So this is too much science. I'm skipping the slide. I'm going to the next slide where the main challenge is there. So normally when we use this kind of material, some of the particles that we use are of spherical nature. So what happens once you put too much particle into this mix that are having spherical shape? So ultimately you are going to decrease the viscosity of your material. So, and this decrease in viscosity is going to end up with such kind of structural failure. So as you can see, after deposition of few layers, the whole entire structure collapsed because of the lack of viscosity. And why it happened? Because we have some particles having spherical shape. So because these particles are important to be in the mix, so therefore we thought to improve the buildability of the structure by improving the mix design. And therefore we deal with some nanomaterials, and again there is some scientific concept that how the nanomaterials are improving the buildability, but I will not talk much about that because this is again away from the topic. So but I just want to highlight one concept here, that addition of this nanoparticle is definitely going to improve the viscosity, and ultimately this improve in viscosity will result in higher buildability of the structure without any failure. So during this entire printing process, often we see that once we are depositing the material, they are expected to deform because they are fresh material. So they will deform layer by layer. So to monitor this deformation process, what we did, we attached one distance laser sensor. I think, yeah, the photo I have, yes, it's the photo is there. So you can see that we have integrated one laser distance sensor unit to the nozzle, so that during printing, it is continuously going to monitor the deformation process. And why it is important to monitor the deformation? Because if we know how much deformation is occurring, accordingly, we can adjust the print parameters. So this is have to be a feedback system, so that during printing, if you get any information regarding material deformation, you can simultaneously change the process parameter to minimize the deformation. So for that reasons, the entire, so this is an optimization of printing process using real-time feedback system. So as you can see that whatever the output we get from the distance sensor, it is being connected to the controller, and the controller changes the process parameter accordingly, so that we can minimize the deformation. So again, I say it's like other 3D printing process or robotic process. There are so many technological challenges that we need to tackle. So it's not like simply printing the structure is going to solve all the problem, but in the entire process cycle, we have so many small problems we need to deal it, so that the entire structure, robustness, and quality of the product will be acceptable for the final use. So this is how we manage to control or optimize the process parameter for minimizing the deformation. So yes, there are two slides again to characterize the material. I think it is again going to be a very different topic for you, but I will simply try to explain it in a very simple way. So what happens? So this is a test protocol that we follow to characterize our material. So as you can see, there are two stages are very clear. One is before extrusion and second is after extrusion. So normally when we do the printing activity, so it is very important for us to know what is the viscosity of the material before we start pumping, and what is the viscosity once you deposit on the print bed. These two viscosities are important, because if you try to pump a material which is having high viscosity, the pump will create going to south. it is going to create a lot of problems in the pumping process. It may end up with clogging. It may end up with high pressure zone. So many reasons are there. So therefore, always we check what is the viscosity before extrusion. And similarly, after extrusion also, it is very important to check the viscosity, because as I mentioned, if your material is not having sufficient viscosity, the shape will not same as that of nozzle shape or orifice shape. If the orifice is circular, whatever material you are going to deposit, it may be elliptical or it may be completely squashed out because of the low viscosity of the material. So therefore, it is very important to know the viscosity before extrusion and after extrusion. So one more viscosity which is also important, that is the middle portion. So it means this is the viscosity during pumping. So you can imagine this material is very smart material, because before extrusion or before pumping, for simplicity, before pumping, the material was having high viscosity. So during pumping, we are applying shear force, because pumping, if you see the complete scenario, it's a process of applying high shear force. So when you are applying high shear force, what is important to see that the viscosity is going down, and it means that you can pump the material with a very low pressure without any problem of discontinuity. But now if you are going to extrude the material which will be having same viscosity as that of pumping, so this viscosity is not sufficient for 3D printing. So this viscosity has the ability to recover its original viscosity, so that you can see now the material has the ability to recover the viscosity. And why it is happening? It is happening because of the van der Waals force of attraction that is there in case of cement based composite. So we have another protocol where you do test of the shear stress decrease with time. This also ensures that how fast you can destroy your material in the pumping process. So it also give an indication with respect to lambda factor that how easily you can pump your material. So we develop these protocols especially for this 3D printing process, though the similar protocols you can find in other extrusion processes, but we have slightly modified the shear rate and viscosity domain very specific to this printing process. So yeah, you can see that with that printing process, with the material improvement, we can print 60 layers, but there are so many defects, as you can see, because it was our first print, so we had so many defects. And now I'm going to tell you some reasons with respect to tool path planning and also further new material development that can be adopted to remove these defects during the printing process. So before I start into the toolpath planning programming, so what is very important, I just want to share one story. So during my third year of my PhD, so there is a competition by NASA. I told you in my very early slide that NASA people, they wanted to have a kind of robotic automated system, so which can print habitats for the astronauts in the Mars. So they want that we should develop some system so that this automated system can print the entire structure with a new material that need less water, because they come into this competition rules which says that if you are developing the system as well as the material, and if the material that you are developing is having less water, because we know that in concrete or every civil works we have to mix water with cement, so that is the usual way of creating concrete. But they told that in Mars environment there is a very less chance of getting water. So let us try to develop a 3D printable material which requires less water. And for that reasons, we develop the material as well as the printing system. So there is a video here. So you can see using a robotic system also we can do the same printing without any deformation of the layer. So let me play it. Hope you can see it. Yeah, it's there. Yeah, so we printed a very large scale object using this 3D printer. And in fact, they asked us to print a very long structures. So later I am going to show you that with the help of 3 small robots, how we managed to print a very long structure. So that is also very challenging. But regarding this video, I want to highlight one important point here, that forget about material development, but in case of robotic programming, we found that it is very easy to print some lattice structures. And in case of printing the entire solid, it does not make any sense to me. And because also there are some issue with the robotic programming if you want to create a complete solid geometry. So you can see in this video that the entire cylinder was printed in a solid form. So it's not like hollow or lattice structure. So we found a lot of problem in the tool path planning, and therefore we intentionally use circular nozzle. Because if you're planning to use a rectangular nozzle, the nozzle have to move tangent to the surface. Otherwise, the material is going to be twisted. So that is a problem if you're planning to use a rectangular nozzle. And if you're using this solid printing, it's very difficult for the programming point of view. And therefore, intentionally, we used a circular nozzle, because if you're planning to use a circular nozzle for the printing, you don't have to worry much about the programming. It's a bit simpler. So that is the key point regarding the program I want to highlight here. So yeah, this is all about the material development. So what we did, we used some other chemical activator to design this material, and we found that this activator is having some viscosity which is completely different from the water-based concrete. And since we are not using water, not using water, and this activator is the main culprit here, which is changing the viscosity like anything. So for that reason, we did several tests, and we found that when the activator viscosity are more, we are expecting a better filament compared to the activator when it is having a very low molar ratio. So again, it's a like in chemistry talk, so I don't want to put too much science here, but I just want to highlight that depending upon the material combination, there are so many parameters again in the material development. So all of them have some impact on the final material viscosity. And as you know, the viscosity has a major role in creating the very stable filament. So we did a lot of experiment, and also we created some kind of simulation to find what are the appropriate parameter, so that you can maintain it always for any printing process for getting the stable filament layer. So you can see, as I mentioned, if the material is having a very poor design, so during printing, you can see some distance that is being generated from the top of the layer to the nozzle tip. So that we call stand-up distance. So if the material is slumping or deforming during the printing, so you'll always mark this kind of stand-up distance. So this was we were measuring using the distance sensor, and accordingly we are controlling the layer height. But if your material is very good, it is not slumping, you won't find such kind of defects. I will not call defects, but rather what is going to happen, if the distance keep on increasing with time, the whole structure is going to collapse. So to avoid that, it is very essential, either you control the deformation behavior, or you come up with a new material which is having less deformation, so that you can print it without any deformation. So some printed structures, some overhanging structures also we tried to demonstrate the printing possibility for complex geometries. Yeah, now coming to the path planning and robotic story. So what we came to know, that if you are planning for a large scale printing, it is very essential to improve the material design. And to improve the material design, it is very again essential to add some chemical activators that is going to harden the material. So this is a schematic that we followed in our robotic printing process. So which means that when you are going to only extrude one single material, it needs long time to set. So but now if you add a secondary element which is going to be mixed at the nozzle, and ultimately whatever material is going to come out from the nozzle, it is going to set rapidly. So that kind of material, if you can develop, of course you can print tall structures without any deformation. So for that region, so this is a schematic that tells that if you want to improve the yield stress rapidly by adding some chemical at the nozzle, so you can definitely print large scale structures. So before we print large scale structures, it is very important for us to know how material deforms. So to study the deformation process, what we did, we compressed the fresh material at different time interval, because we know the cement science is very different from the regular material where the property will change with respect to time. So maybe at 5 minutes when you mix, it looks very fresh, but after some time it will harden. So you will get different behavior of the material at different time. So we did some tests to find out what is the stress relationship of this newly developed material. We also conducted some shear tests to find the shear property, because when we are loading the material, we have two components. One is normal force, one is shear force. So to find the relationship between these two, we conducted these two tests, green strength and shear test. And with the result of these two tests, we tried to simulate the entire process, like the one you saw before, that they're printing the whole system with the robotic machine. So now with the help of this entire material property, we can now print the entire layers in a simulation virtual environment. So you can see they're coming. Yeah, you come up 2 minutes. Huh? Yeah, sorry. So you can see now that with the help of those data points, we have developed some kind of simulation that mimics the entire printing process with collaboration with RMIT University. So this is the data we have used for experiment. And now you can see that during deposition, you can create the same fashion of structure. And when it is going to collapse, that also you can predict from the simulation. कहाँ साइन करना है? You take it here. Yeah, so you can see that how the whole simulation entirely tells you that when you need to properly design the material as well as the tool path, so that you can avoid this collapsing in the printing process. So now let us discuss about what are the other factors that are very important for concrete printing. So except material, we also have some problem with the printing parameters and design, because they are not very straightforward the way they look. So you can see this is an example of printing the material with different speed. So we know that in any printing system, we have different options of printing speed. So now if you change the printing speed with keeping the flow rate constant, you can have different width of the filament. So of course, it is very clear that if you keep the flow rate constant and travel very fast, your layer will be very thinner. And if you travel slowly, it will be fatter. So this is the problem with this is not the problem, I will say, but rather we have to go for a further optimization where we can target a particular print speed for a particular material and for a fixed flow rate. So we have done some simulation to further find out what is going to be the accurate print speed, so that the filament you are going to get is going to have similar width as that of your orifice shape. So this is the problem that we also encounter, because sometimes during printing, if you suddenly change the flow rate, your entire structure is going to have with a different filament width. And this uneven filament width, sometimes it is also responsible for the collapsing of the structure. So therefore, we have to also deal with this kind of printing speed versus flow rate issue during robotic printing. So again, you can see in the process parameter, we have printing speed, layer height, nozzle shape. So what happens with the nozzle shape? That normally we use circular nozzles to avoid twisting of the nozzle. But you can see if the material you are developing is having very stiff viscosity, you are going to end up with such kind of cross-section view where you have so many porosity in between the layers. But now again, if the process can be optimized, you can further minimize the porosity. And this is the porosity graph that we got it by scanning the cross section of the filament. So there are again some challenges with respect to porosity. So if you further optimize the process with respect to the printing shape, printing design, you can definitely reduce the porosity. So coming to the design point of view, so we started printing a entire toilet unit. So it's having 1.8 meter tall. So we found the design is very clean for us. But during printing trial, we found that so this design is having one corner radius. So it is very important. So when you are designing this kind of structure, especially robotic system, you have to properly take care of the radius of the curvature. Why it is important? Because as you can see, if initially as per our design, the radius of curvature was 40 mm. So now you can see if I am keeping the 40 mm as a radius of curvature, I am going to end up with some material behavior which is having this kind of tears at the outer periphery of the layers. Okay, so this is the problem with material, with the print speed, and as well as the radius of curvature. Because if you see, if we're going to increase the radius of curvature to 50, 60, 70, and further 80, 90, this tearing issue has been solved. So this is one way of addressing the problem. In the second way, you can also control the speed during turning at the corner. That is also one feasible solution. And the third is the using of a very soft material. So if the material is very stiff, definitely you will end up with this kind of tearing effect. So it says a very important message to us that in 3D printing, it is not only about the material you deal, but also the printing parameters and the design, which all three are important. So material, parameter, and design. These are the three important criteria you have to always deal. Also, the tool path planning is important because if you don't plan it according to the shape of the design, you are going to end up with so many defects during the printing process, because we have also tested that if you're not properly printing the structure, you can end up with many porosity in different layers. It is also very important that when you are printing these layers, the layers have to be compacted in the direction. If you're traveling very fast, or you are printing the corners with a very higher speed, this component is going to have a lot of porosity. So this is very important to consider all the three aspects: printing, material, as well as the design, to get a robust component out of your 3D printing process. So yeah, coming to the some mechanical properties of the part. So we tested these components in 3 different directions, because it is very well known to us that in 3D printing, we usually have anisotropic mechanical properties. Means you test the component in 3 different directions, you will get 3 different properties. So just to verify, so we printed the structures and tested in 3 directions. Surprisingly, we do not find much anisotropy, because as you can see, F1, F2, F3, they're having almost similar strength. Okay, the C belongs to casted component. So compared to casted, we have almost similar strength for the 3D printed sample. So those who believe what is going to be the strength of the structure, so to them, I can say that, okay, the strength of the structures, whatever we are printing, is almost same as that of casted sample. But of course, depending upon the printing property, printing directions, you'll be having a slight variation in the strength. So F1 is the printing direction. So of course, if you print, layers will be more compacted. F2, F3 are other directions where some slight variation of the strength has been observed. But coming to the 3-point bending strength, so this F1 and F2 directions are most critical, because you can see that in F1 direction, whatever force you are applying, it is passing through the interface. So therefore, it is very important to observe what is the interface strength. So in this case, the interface strength was very weak. So as a result of that, we got a very less strength in F1 direction. And to further investigate how the interface property in 3D printing vary, so what we did, we changed the different setting of our printing process, like time gap, material hardening, setting time. And we found that if you're printing with a very rapid hardening material and giving a lot of time gap between the layers, it is going to end up with a poor bond strength, because the material will harden rapidly, and this intermixing of the layer is not going to happen, because your material is rapidly hardening. If you delay the deposition of the second layer, crossing 5 minutes or 10 minutes beyond that, you are going to end up with poor bond strength. So this is the relationship with different processing parameter. With the bond strength, it is very important because ultimately the bond strength is going to affect the anisotropy nature of your product. So if you are going to print with a very poor bond strength, definitely your anisotropy will be more. And of course, there are so many other issues like porosity. Also, this kind of porosity can be minimized by optimizing the printing parameters. So what we did, so we tried to do a lot of experiment and try to connect it with the advanced neural network to further optimize the process, and the whole setting was further connected with the controller, and this controller with respect to the data that are being collected is going to optimize the process parameter. So that is the main purpose of collecting so many data points, because we want to train the machine so that next time when the error comes, automatically it is going to adjust the printing parameters in such a way that these problems will be minimized. So yeah, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I just have few slides. So towards the end, we have some projects that we have done to valorize the application of this process. So our first project was on 3D printing the entire toilet unit. So as you can see, it's 1.8 meter toilet meter long tall. 1.8 meter tall toilet unit. So we printed with less than 3 or 4 hours. So which is very fast. And that time our Prime Minister visited our university. So we presented the advantage of having a digital printing system. So as you can see, he also appreciated that the technology can print the entire structure with starting with a CAD model. So that is what I highlighted from the very beginning, that the biggest gain you are going to get out of this automated robotic 3D printing is that the time, because that is how it's called rapid manufacturing. It's not printing rapidly. It's all about how fast you can move from the design to end product, which is very minimum in case of 3D printing technology. You design, you slice, you create the toolpath, and you print the entire structure. That's all. And some of the defects, definitely we have to do some inline process monitoring so that in the next printing, your defects can be minimized. So next target was to print the entire bathroom unit. So it's a 3.2 meter tall bathroom unit. So this project was given by our industry partner. So they wanted to print the entire unit using a robotic concrete printing system. So you can see on the behind that the robotic printing system is there. So with the help of that, we printed the entire unit. And most interestingly, this whatever the 3D printed unit you can see on my screen, it is not entirely solid. Again, if you recall the breeze case, it is not again entirely solid. Rather, the walls are hollow in nature. It is topologically designed so that it can withstand load, as well as it can also contain some of the plumbing pipes, electricity connections. All these things can be input inside this wall. So I have a video. If you see, you can have a feeling that how this lattice structure wall has been printed with help of robotic system. And then we can see, yeah, I think it's, yeah, I have the video. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah. So yeah. So as you can see in this video, the entire structure was 3D printed, I think less than 8-hour time. So, and then we sent this entire structure to the testing unit. They did so many tests to clarify, to finally clarify that whatever the structure we are coming end up with the printing process, it is really applicable to construction industry. So this is an example of impact test. So they are doing it now, and hopefully we pass all the test result, and they're having a plan to soon implement this structure for building and construction application. And that is the advantage that you can see, printing lightweight structure, saving the material, also saving the time that we usually spend to create such kind of structures. Some of the story with regard to reinforcement is there. So what we do sometimes, if you want to print the structure with the reinforcement, because the material is without reinforcement, but sometimes if you want to add reinforcement like fiber, steel cable, for that we have a arrangement. You can see that during printing, this nozzle is capable of entraining the steel cable in the material so that your material is going to have more ductility compared to the regular concrete. So we also did some kind of funny projects. We printed the entire this kind of reception table for one company because it was a construction company, and they told that we want to have our reception table that is being printed. So as you can see, not only we can print structures, but aesthetically we can create a lot of design patterns on the surface, which is very difficult to achieve through casting technology. So yeah, coming to robotic technology, I have 2 or 3 videos where I can show you that not only on the flat surface, but also the robot have the ability to print the structure on the curved surface. So you can see this is a curved bed. It's not a flat anymore. So a robot has the program to detect the curved subpoints and it can print the material over the curved bed. So what is the application of such kind of printing? That if you print the structures we call facade elements and we attach it to the building, so that sometimes if you develop a new materials that can store energy out of sun rays or can store some energy from the wind, such kind of facade elements can be printed with a robotic system. And that was the only goal, to create this kind of entire 3D printed system which can print structures on the curved bed. So you can see this is the curved bed pictures. It's not in a planar mode. It's a non-planar surface. So the robot is able to detect the points intelligently and can print the structures without any layer deformation. So yeah, this was the example I was citing in the beginning. So suppose if you have a very long part, you want to do it with the help of 2 robots. That is also feasible. You can see the 2 robots, they are printing synchronously without having any collision. So that is the advantage of robotic programming. You can do the path planning in such a way that 2 robots can work together if you want to print a long structure. So you can see the robots are stationary. They are at their own position, but they are printing the entire structure in a collaborative manner without any kind of collision. So this is the first case, and the second case belongs to, suppose you have a single robot, still you want to print it. So now the robot can travel from one point to another point, and the same time it can also deposit the material. So this is a video you can see. Previously the robot was stationary. Now the same robot is moving from one point to another point, and the same time it is printing the material. So if you want to still do it with the help of a single robot, it is feasible. So it is a concept test. So you can see that robot can print the structure just by me moving from one point to another point. Yeah, I'm almost at the end of my talk. I just want to conclude my talk with 2 examples. So you can see that there are some examples where robots are being used in practical application to print the entire building. So this is an example by Saibi company. So they are printing the entire building unit with the robotic system. X3, another company from France. So they are very passionate about printing complex structures. So they have developed a special print head which can deposit the material, which is very rapidly setting material. And you can see the complexity is possible with the help of this robotic 3D printing process. So recently they printed a rainwater harvesting unit because they feel the design can be more lightweight, and they can also print this part in a very less time compared to the conventional casting way. Another company from Dubai, Basics 3D, you can see the degree of complexity that is possible with the robotic printing system. So, and some of the urban furnitures, they are also printing with this newly developed material. This is the company I showcased in the first of my slide. Yeah, the same company having a crane type of system. They are printing the entire building unit in Dubai. So you can see this is having some 3 or 4 rooms, and this is the 3D printed building after it is being decorated with some polishing. In China also, they are creating this kind of 2 or multi-story building. So what they are trying to do, they are trying to print only the walls and assembling it for creation of the 3D printed home. So this is the structure they are printing with the help of robotic plus gantry system. Again, it's not entirely solid. Rather, the design is optimized so that the materials can be saved. And during COVID days, they also printed this kind of cubicles for the COVID patients because they feel it's very difficult to create the home shelters for these COVID patients. So keeping this thought in the mind, so they printed some of the cubicles for the COVID patient in their state. And at IIT Guwahati, we also started printing with our robot as well as gantry system. So my students, they have printed the structures, but I don't have much results now. Maybe the next meeting I will showcase. So what is important here, this is an example. I was going through an article a few days back. So can you see anything very special on the photo? Because it is an example of dam construction, and this company, they claim this small orange color. I hope you are able to see it. So by using this robotic system, they claim that the dam construction was completed 30% earlier time what they projected, and also the cost saving was around 20%. So it means that we are really moving towards a era where we are going to include robots also in our construction process, because sometimes we feel that there's a real need of this robotic system which can accelerate the process without the intervention of humans. And also it's possible we can have a better product with inclusion of this robotic system. Having said that, it is very important to see what is next, which is all about connecting up Industry 4.0 with Humanity 4.0. Because as I mentioned in my talk, that there are so many advancements that have been done till now. This advance in robotic system, automation, it is creating enormous job opportunity. But at the same time, it has a negative side. It is creating some problems regarding to sustainability. So it is time for now, we should connect Industry 4.0, considering the humanity, because it is very important that how we can bring sustainability in our process so that the Mother Earth or the nature, they are not going to be disturbed by such innovation. So it is very important for us to now consider sustainability in all our innovation, complemented by Industry 4.0, which includes the necessity advantage of humanity. So with this, I thank everyone for attending the presentation. If you have any question, please feel to ask me. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much again, all of you, for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your elaborate knowledge about 3D printing contribution in industrial robots. Your session is thoroughly enjoyable, and we hope definitely it would be the eye-opener for new thinking and new ideas. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And now this session is open for asking queries. Participate can ask your queries, unmute your mic. And participant and respected speakers should open your webcam kindly. Dear participants, if you have any queries, you can ask.
Hello, sir. Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you're audible. No issue. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. Very giving great insights into the 3D printing. Means it is actually printing in a construction industry. I wonder regarding that collaborative robots working together and doing some construction work. I mean, in a laboratory setting. So, what considerations have gone into to avoid the collision? Is it path planning only or something else there?
Okay, regarding the collaborative printing, so
Collaborative robots, they were one last at the end of the presentation, a video was shown.
Excuse me, dear participants, kindly open your webcam, please.
Yeah, so yeah, it is very true that there are some innovations we need to add into the path planning. But in the same line, we have to also know like how to avoid collision. It is also very important, because when you are trying to control two robots, so there is a possibility the nozzles or the printing environment should not collide each other. So in that regard, so I have published 2 papers. Maybe you can refer to that. And if you have further questions, we can discuss it offline. Then just email to me. I'll forward you those papers, and maybe you can go through it regarding the path planning algorithm and also the obstacle detection algorithm. So that we have encountered during our programming. So maybe you can go through it, and further questions we can discuss it offline.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Much.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining
Yeah.
this. Yes, sir. We thoroughly enjoyed, sir, actually.
Thank you. No, it's
Yes,
okay.
sir.
It's my pleasure also. If you have any questions, please, all of you, you can drop an email. I'll be happy to reply you. So yeah, many thanks to Dr. Raju for inviting me. I hope all of the session was a point like where you can also broaden your skills in other industry, 3D printing, in manufacturing, automobile, aerospace. There are so many opportunity now. If you want to employ this kind of robotic system, there are so many defects, also challenges that the industry need to be solved out. So if you really are passionate to solve this robotic issue, a lot of scopes are there. You can definitely consider those opportunity. And most importantly, you have to upbring your skills. That is very important, because nowadays we are moving into industry 4.0 where we're connecting with data science, physical world. So recently we are inaugurating one cyber physical system where we are going to focus how to connect the physical world with more data. So AI, those techniques are getting a lot of attention these days. So how we can leverage on this technology to further improve our process through 3D printing. That is also an important possible research area. If anyone of you would like to pursue it, I hope you can continue. It's a decent topic, which is very important to all of us. So yeah, with this, I would like to conclude my talk. Thank you very much.